Hey, how's it going, guys? Here for another vinyl video. And continuing on with the letter S in my black metal collection, we come to the next artist in my collection, which is one of my favorite black metal artists of all time. Everything that they've done album-wise, I love. And that is Satyricon. This is their first album, Dark Medieval Times. This was the original artwork on vinyl pressing. It was much larger. They redid it with this framework and stuff, and I think it looks really cool, keeping Frost's original calligraphy of the album title and whatnot. The CD version was, of course, the old school black and white castle one with the rider on horseback. There's the back cover. This is the remastered version that they put out. This came out in 2021. The original album, though, like when the original came out, it was 1993. So this is just on plain black vinyl, so I won't worry about showing you. But on this side, they've got an interview with Satyr, talking about talking to him about like what was going on in the scene at the time and what all went into creating the album and how it differs from modern day Satyricon and whatnot. He was extremely young when he made this album, like 16 or 18 or something like that. Very impressive to have an album with such longevity and really like complex arrangements considering how old he was. And Frost didn't write anything. He never writes anything in Satyricon. He just puts drums to Satyr's ideas. Satyr is the one who always is the main creative force. So anyways, this is Dark Medieval Times. This is their first album. Moving on, we have the next album in the catalog, 1994's The Shadow Throne. This is a completely different cover from the CD version, but it's the same type of theme. The old CD version was just like a blurry thing, similar like with the trees in the lake or whatever, but it was blurry and you couldn't really make it out. So they decided to completely redo the cover for this remastered vinyl edition. And here you've got the album title done with Frost's calligraphy again. In the interview for the album, Satyr explains that for both of these, it was important that they keep the original art from Frost, obviously, but the rest of the stuff had kind of was old by comparison, and they figured that it could use a more modern expression, so it didn't look as primitive, I guess. Now, Samoth from Emperor does second guitar and bass on the recording. There he is right there. Satyr. He looks really young there. And as I said, this album came out in 1994. Next up, we have Nemesis Divina. Look at that gorgeous shot of the band. Look at that gauntlet. That's awesome on Frost's arm there. That looks cool. That one's kind of silly. The bullets are cool though. And on this album we had Nocturnal Culto being credited as Caveldelv, but it's Nocturnal Culto. And on here he's actually credited as Nocturnal Culto. So it came housed in some artwork here. There's the band members. See, Nocturnal Culto. And the vinyl is just black, just like the other two, so I won't bore you. This album came with a bonus poster that is very cool, and it's going back up on my wall very soon. Check this thing out. Isn't that cool? I wasn't expecting to get that at all, so that was a nice bonus. So this album came out in 1996, and it's probably like their most widely famous album within the scene. Next up, we have the album that showed me the band. This introduced me to them. I heard a song off this album off a random music sampler put out by a local magazine from Toronto called Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles. Each issue they put out came with a free sampler of around like 20 tracks by different extreme bands. And the song Primeval Renaissance from this album was on that sampler. And it made me a fan instantly. And then I went out and bought this album and loved it. And then I went back in time to listen to, because this was their newest album at the time I got into them in 1999. And I went back and I listened to the first 3 albums and I was like, man, they're even better. And I've been a fan ever since. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I like everything that this band has done. And this is on plain black vinyl again, so I won't bother showing you the records. This album had a little bit of industrial stuff mixed into the sound, but not too much to put me off. I'm not a big fan of industrial music. That's why I don't particularly enjoy that album by Rotting Chris, Kronos, that I was talking about in a previous video. They have a lot of industrial in that sound, and I ain't into that. So yes, this album came out in 1999, and as I was saying, they were trying to get away from their classic Norwegian black metal roots with that album, and they were going for a more like just creepy gothic-y type of more mainstream friendly metal band to appeal to more fans, broaden their fan base. So this is their last album I have by them, and that is their newest album. I'm a little bit disappointed in the packaging of this album, to be truthful. So it's called Deep Calleth Upon Deep. And look at that cover. I mean, like, ugh. In the back, I mean, plain white with text. It's boring. And the inside of the vinyl here is like vague, like mountains. But again, it's like super vague and boring. I'm not going to bother showing you the vinyl because I want to squeeze this in to the video and not have it get cut off. So the art, like, this was bad too. It didn't even include like a photo of like the band or anything. It's just like, okay, whatever. Oh, I do have time to show the vinyl, but see, it's just plain white. Anyways, that'll do it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers.